September 2nd, 2017. As the field rolled on to the Darlington Raceway to begin the Xfinity Series race, I took my position in the backstretch garage. I stood off the exit of Turn 2, where someone erected a white pop-up tent alongside an unmarked trailer. When the first stage ended, a gold and black Chevrolet stayed out front for 2 laps, dropped to the rear, then pitted just before the restart. Soon after, that car pulled into the garage and parked alongside the trailer and the tent. The driver of car 89 climbed out, raised the hood, and retrieved some tools from his toolbox. He looked over the engine, then sat down in the trailer with his wife and cracked open a Mellow Yellow. I hit the button on my voice recorder and walked up to him. For the first time, I had the chance to talk to Morgan Shepherd.
I'm sorry to bother you, sir. My name's Brock. I'm with LastCar.info.
Thank you.
Hey, it's good to meet you, sir. It was good seeing you up front there for those couple of laps. I was curious seeing you working on your car. Do they like take out the tapered spacer afterwards or something?
Yeah. It cut off, and I thought fuel pump quit on us, which it did. And then I got back over here. It picked back up. Then I realized going through the banking, it lost fuel pressure. The pickup's on the right side.
Okay. So, and I was curious when you stay out those laps as well. I mean, is there like an incentive program or something NASCAR kind of helps you out for that, or is that just?
I'm almost 76, and we led the race here at Darlington.
Absolutely.
As if by divine retribution, they returned from the brink of extinction in even greater numbers. They aroused anger in some, admiration in others, but each knew 2004 was their chance to rise. They were the Field Fillers! Few things can be considered timeless. Few people are truly ageless. But Morgan Shepherd and his team are certainly among them. In 1951, a 10-year-old Morgan Shepherd bought a Wizard motorbike with money he earned working on a farm. 2 years later, he bought his first car, a 1937 Chevrolet. This cost him $12.50, a gray squirrel, 2 flying squirrels, and a 20-gauge shotgun his father had left him. But by his own admission, he got a late start in racing. He was already 26 when he took his first green flag at the Hickory Motor Speedway. But he was also a quick study. In 2 years, he was tearing up the Limited Sportsman Series, winning 21 of the season's 29 races. By 1970, when Shepherd made his Cup debut at Hickory, he was 28, 10 years older than Joe Ruttman was in his first start at Riverside in 1963. He started 10th in a 22-car field that included Dave Marcus, Wendell Scott, Benny Parsons, and race winner Bobby Isaac. It was Isaac who went on to become the series champion. Shepherd's 1969 Chevrolet turned 68 of the 276 laps that day before the rear end failed, leaving him 19th. After 2 other starts that year, he wouldn't run Cup again until 1977, when he made 3 starts in a Mercury built by Robert G. and owned by Jim Maycar, father of Jimmy Maycar, Bobby Labonte's championship crew chief.
One of the guys that helped me in racing, his name was Glenn Knight. He owned a junkyard, got a wife, and 9 kids. And I remember blowing the engine one night, and we was loading everything up, and he said, "Well, honey, you got to cut down the groceries this week. We got to get Morgan an engine for the car next week." So those were the kind of people, the nice people that has helped me through racing. They was like me, they didn't have much.
In 1975, Shepherd dominated NASCAR's Late Model Sportsman Series, racking up multiple victories in 17 different cars. He traveled from race to race in a 1968 Camaro with Shep, his pet German Shepherd, by his side. This came after a turning point in Shepherd's personal life, as on February 23rd of that year he became a born-again Christian. Divine intervention touched Shepherd's life many times. In 2002, while driving down the highway, a 6-pound tow truck hook smashed through the windshield of his truck, crashed through the rear glass, and ended up in the bed. The hook had missed him by mere inches. As his career continued to improve, Shepherd would give back to his community through an annual charity run to the Park Workshop in Stuart, Virginia. Even after a turbulent 2020, Shepherd and his wife Cindy still completed the fundraiser for a 34th year, raising $16,000 to benefit the disabled. As the late model Sportsman Series began to evolve into what is today the NASCAR Xfinity Series, Shepherd continued to excel. He won the series title in 1980 and won 15 races from 1982 through 1988. During those 7 years, Shepherd never ran the full season. In fact, he's since done so only once, in 2011. Determined to return to Cup, Shepherd signed with Cliff Stewart, who in 1981 was returning to the series for the first time in 5 years. At the time, Stewart had scored just one win as an owner, but that was nearly 2 decades earlier, when Jim Paschal lapped the field at the Southside Speedway on June 22, 1962. In their first start together at the Richmond Fairgrounds, Shepherd won his first pole and finished 4th, his first top 5. Just 6 races after that, on April 26, 1981, Shepherd nearly lapped the field himself and took the checkered flag at Martinsville. He beat Neil Bonnet by a full 15 seconds. By winning in just his 15th series start, Shepherd became the first driver to score his maiden NASCAR victory on ESPN, which was in its first season of broadcasting the series. Even so, Shepherd lost Rookie of the Year in a close contest with Ron Bouchard, another first-time winner that year. In 2019, Shepherd dedicated his throwback paint scheme at Darlington to Stewart, and would continue to run the design in his team's latest few starts.
What's your favorite Darlington memory?
Well, I was at Bob Bear that owned a speedway up at Oxford, Maine, and at Loudon, New Hampshire. His brother, Dick Bear, I helped him out, and he had a Cup car. And we came down here. Believe it or not, we was looking like we was going to win the race. And the battery wire got against the body where it went through and shorted out, and so we fell out. But we had a winning car that day. And plus in '85, whenever Bill won the race here, we had the car to beat, Carolina Tools Chevy, and we cracked the cylinder head and had to pull out. But we was better than Bill that day, but we didn't get to show it.
For much of the following decade, Shepherd became known for how frequently he switched between Cup rides. For the moment he parted ways with Stewart in August of '81 through the first part of 1985, he raced for 16 different teams. Among these were the infamous J.D. Stacy in 1983, a single start at Michigan in '81 for Mark Martin's struggling team, and a one-off for Petty Enterprises at Darlington in 1985. It was in '85 that Shepherd entered his own car in a NASCAR race for the first time. Driving the number 38 Chevrolet at Talladega on May 5th, Shepherd finished 13th. The team made 9 more Cup starts in 1988, running the same paint scheme as Black Thunder, his Busch Series ride. This was itself one of 5 teams Shepherd drove for in that season. From then through 1997, the Shepherd Racing team focused exclusively on the Busch Series. Shepherd's second career Cup victory came at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, a track where he has always been particularly fast. On March 16, 1986, Shepherd was driving a number 47 Buick fielded by Jack Beebe and managed to edge pole sitter Dale Earnhardt for the victory.
I got to feel this is going to be a real race to the end. It's not a clear-cut thing, although the 2 leaders are keeping that small margin ahead of the second, third, and fourth place, the third, fourth, and fifth place cars who don't seem to have a shot at it at this stage. Although, look, they're right there. Labonte in third, Waltrip in fourth, and still Bill Elliott unable to get out of fifth.
All right, there's going to be 1 lap to go as of right now. So we are on the last lap. Morgan Shepherd with the lead. Dale Earnhardt right in position. It is the classic confrontation of stock car racing. The only question, when will Earnhardt make his move, and can he get by?
I don't believe he can slipstream by it. I don't think he can draft by. I think he has to get him in the turn. They are going into the last turn. This is Earnhardt's last chance. As you can see, he can attack, but can he get by?
Checkered flag is out and ready. Morgan Shepherd's never seen one before in a super speedway race. Here is the checkered flag, and there is Morgan Shepherd's first super speedway victory. And there is the celebration in Morgan Shepherd's fifth.
Well, I tell you, it's been a long time coming. I tell you, I just can't hardly talk. I'd like to thank God. Thank Jack Beebe for giving me the opportunity. and Jake Elder for being such a good chassis man.
The win in the Race Hill Farms car stands as perhaps the last victory by a Cup car without a sponsor on the hood. In his career, Shepherd has made 33 Cup starts at Atlanta and finished inside the top 10 in more than half of these, including a streak of 7 in a row from the spring of 1989 to 1992. In 1993, following the blizzard that delayed the race, Shepherd won again, earning the Wood brothers' last victory for 8 years.
Well, thank God for Atlanta. All I can say, we run good down here, and we're always in contention. And I just thank God it was a safe race today, and the Citgo Thunderbird come out on top.
He finished runner-up to Ernie Irvin in 1994 and finished third for Richard Jackson in 1997, which was the last race for the track's oval configuration. He was still impressive in his only Cup start on the current quad oval. On November 8, 1998, making the final start for the Stavola brothers, Shepherd was running inside the top 10 when he crashed on lap 199. This was one of only 8 DNFs he had at the track, and his average finish stands at 15.9 to this day.
You were so good at Atlanta in particular. So many of your Cup wins came there. What was really something you attribute to your success at that track?
Well, life is just this way, you know. You don't know why things happen for the good, and you don't know why so many things happen for the bad. Atlanta was a racetrack that I was always in contention, and that's where I got 3 wins down there.
The second of Shepherd's 3 Atlanta wins came with Bud Moore Engineering, his 28th different Cup team, which hired him after 2 underperforming seasons with, guess who, Brett Bodine. By then, Shepherd was switching teams less frequently, having finished a solid 13th in points for Raymock Enterprises the previous year. The Raymock run also earned him offers from Morgan McClure, Richard Jackson, and Travis Carter, but the opportunity to run for one of the series' most celebrated team owners was too good to turn down. He made the right choice. Shepherd started 1990 with a 10th place finish in the Daytona 500 and would finish no worse than that through the first 11 races of the season, one of only 2 drivers ever to do so. Kyle Busch made a bid at Shepherd's record in 2019, and like his predecessor was running inside the top 10 in the final laps when he found trouble. For Shepherd, it was a blown engine at Sears Point. For Busch, it was a fender rub at Kansas. I've been around racing a long time, and I've knocked on a lot of doors, and I never could seem to get that good combination, or I just couldn't seem to get the right door open, said Shepherd in 1990. It really makes me feel good that it's finally happened. But for all the teams he's raced for, one stands out as his favorite.
If you had to pick one team that you were like most comfortable in, even if it was like just for like one race, like could you pick one as your favorite?
The Woods brothers. I mean, we drove for a lot of different people. Of course, I was with them for 4 years, but they're just great people. They don't turn their nose up at anybody. They're just wonderful, great people, and so were other good people. Yeah, Richard Jackson, and of course Richard Childers that helped me out. Bud Moore.
Yeah, the others like the Wood brothers, and are you still kind of in touch with them still today?
Yeah, I can go over and get me a tomato sandwich anytime I want it. They're just wonderful people. And of course, with my wife and I, which was almost 26 years ago now, we had the wedding down there in Thomasville, Georgia, where her family was, and Eddie Wood flew down. He was my best man down there.
Wow.
The whole family, all of them, just wonderful people.
Shepherd's 4 years with the Wood brothers started in 1992, where he finished a close second to Davey Allison in the Daytona 500. Though the Atlanta win in '93 was his only victory with the team, the two continued a working relationship. Well after his final start for the Woods, when he drove one of the coolest paint schemes ever, Shepherd purchased a car from them to attempt the 2001 Daytona 500. He'd also tested for Elliott Sadler at Talladega in 2002, and even served as a stunt driver in Sadler's car for the filming of a racing documentary that was played at Daytona, USA. After a return to Butch Mock's team in 1996 in his partial season with Richard Jackson in '97, Shepherd was once again a journeyman driver. Now 55, he was running fewer races in both Cup and Busch, making a one-off start for Felix Sabata's here, a pair of races for Richard Childress there, then some starts with Joe Falk before his Atlanta run for the Stavolas. By 1999, he made just one Cup start all year, driving Junie Donlevy's Ford to a 32nd place finish at Rockingham. He made his only Busch start at the same track later that year and finished a strong 10th for Steve Coulter. Given the opportunity, the 57-year-old Shepherd was still determined to race. By then, Shepard was already eyeing a return to team ownership, working out of garages near his home in Ferguson, North Carolina. In 1998, he'd attracted a 3-year, $25 million sponsorship deal and planned to run the number 05 Pontiac. But after spending his own money on equipment and crew, the sponsor bailed, and he had to mortgage 2 of his shop buildings to make ends meet. He still brought a car to Rockingham, Atlanta, and Darlington, but missed all 3 races. He also failed to make the 1999 Daytona 500 in a Ford previously owned by Philmar Racing. And a partnership with Busch Series team owner Rhea Fain also dissolved following a DNQ in that year's Coca-Cola 600. In 2001, after failing to qualify for the 500 again, Shepard decided to enter the Truck Series for the first time. He was rewarded with a strong 11th in the season opener at Daytona. Driving for DeWilton Gensman, who started the team with his son Andy, Shepard soon became the team owner of the number 21 Ford. While still listed under Shepard Racing, this was in fact the genesis of what came to be known as Victory in Jesus Racing. These trucks featured the Racing with Jesus Ministries logo on the hood that would soon become synonymous with Shepard's team, though not without controversy.
The Racing for Jesus logo that you've had on your cars for so many years, is that something that a design you came up with yourself, or was that a collaboration with like a local ministry?
Yes and no. I was trying to think the year it was. So I was at Darlington. Gosh, I can't even remember the guy's name right now. Bill ain't I think. Anyhow, I was walking out through the garage, and I come by Bill, and anyway, I knew that he was a good Christian guy, and I told him, I said, whenever you get older, if you're a Christian or whatever, it's really hard to find anybody that will help. Bill said, well, I'll help you. You put the Jesus logo on the hood, and I was down there in a truck at that time, and I said, well, I'll put it on, you don't have to help me. And anyway, we called a local sign person, and that guy, he jumped right on it. I mean, he didn't say do it next week or whatever. He did up the Jesus logo for the hood of the truck, and then when we went to Martinsville, Darrell Walker, we was running, and me and Darrell got together up there, and then it was the cameras really zoomed in on my truck, and they seen the Jesus logo on it, and so then the next week, people started to call me about it and all, but anyway, NASCAR had asked me to take it off when they come to my shop. I said, well, I've seen all different kind of sponsors on the cars that was really not so good, and I said, I'll respect you and do what you say. So then I was testing up at Motor Mile. That got on the radio, and it just created a lot of visible stuff with what I was going on, and so they come to the track up where I was testing at and asked me to, would I want to say something about it. And anyway, I said, yeah, I did. And so the people that was inquiring about it, they was fans, and they was kind of mad that do all this other stuff. And when they come to me, I said, it's gone for 2 weeks. Atheist people that commented on it and everything. And so NASCAR and the race fans really, they bombarded NASCAR. So they came back to me, and we was at Kentucky track that we run at. They come over to me and said, Morgan, if you like to do your Jesus logo back on the hood, it's fine. And he said, we'll take the heat.
Wow.
So that was all the stuff that was kind of going on with it. And people really spoke out whenever I was asked to take it off, Well, matter of fact, that week after I come back from the testing up there, I was down in Charlotte. This car had this real monster-looking thing on the hood of it. And Darrell Walker was doing some of the announcing. When that car went out and it zoomed in on the hood of that car, Darrell says, whoa, that scared me. And so that really got everything going and I went over to NASCAR and I said, you mean tell me you're going to let this big evil-looking thing they had on the hood? And I was trying to think of the car that was there. They had that sponsorship. That was Ozzy Osbourne. Anyway, they was advertising that on the hood of the car. It's pretty wild looking, but NASCAR stopped it.
The number 21 team made 15 starts in 2001, finishing 17th at Loudon and even leading 15 laps at South Boston before Shepard crashed. Another 13 races followed in 2002, but only once, a 17th at Richmond, did Shepherd's truck finish under power. The most notable race turned out to be July 14th at Kentucky, where Shepherd pulled down pit road under green, climbed out, and changed his own right side tires. He then sat down on the pit wall, ate some chips, drank a Pepsi, and climbed back behind the wheel. After 4 laps in the pits, he returned to the track. As it turns out, Stan Boyd's team had lent him the equipment and offered to also pit his truck, but Shepherd elected to do so himself to get his team more attention. While ESPN didn't show the stop during its broadcast, MRN did mention it, and a photographer was there too to capture these shots. He finished 31st out of 36. This was far from the first time Shepherd has caught the eye of the media. On August 9, 1991, the city of Montour Falls, New York declared it Morgan Shepherd Day in the lead up to the Budweiser at the Glen. The banner from that day was displayed at the back of his shop for years to come. Shepherd has also been known for roller skating around tracks across the country, which has kept him in impeccable shape. In 2011, while shopping at a Las Vegas Walmart, he chased down a teenage shoplifter, pulled him off a fence, and handcuffed him as a security guard arrived. In 1998, NASCAR invited Shepherd to roller skate in a variety show to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the sport.
I know I had qualified camp out there, and they did the thing with NASCAR and Hollywood, and they had called me and asked me if I'd come roller skate. You know, I didn't really realize how big it was the 50th anniversary for NASCAR. I just didn't realize how big it was. And they said, "Would you want to go up there and practice?" And so I seen it. They just told me it was something that I wasn't used to doing because I danced on my skates, and that's what I love doing. I told them, I said, I just do what the music makes me do, because they want me to come around there and jump off the stage and all that kind of stuff. I said, we qualified camp there. I don't want to jump off and break my leg. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. The Beach Boys, that's what I was trying to think of. They had a little jalopy of a car or whatever, and had grandma in the back of it. There was some Vegas girls, and so I kind of fitted in somewhere in the middle with Vegas girls. It was pretty neat. Matter of fact, we did Call of Duty charity ride back home that weekend, and man, everywhere we'd stop at, they had places where we fuel up. They would race fans waiting on us. I couldn't believe it that it was coming to me and said, "We see you roller skating out there." It's a pretty neat thing.
Late in the 2001 season, Shepherd tried to bring his Truck Series team into Cup. On August 9th, he entered his own Cup car in the field for the first time since 1988, running the number 89 on his Ford. Unfortunately, the team withdrew the following week. On October 4th, he looked to bring the car to Martinsville, but this deal also fell through. By November, Shepherd was contacting friends about helping him out and also invited donations from fans. He raised $3,000 and even attracted a potential sponsor. With this, he attempted to buy some Fords from PPI Motorsports' closed number 96 team, but the sponsor backed out, and he couldn't buy the cars. Fortunately, he found a Ford thanks to friends Dave and Roger Dion, who he knew from his days running Bob Baer's Oxford 250s. The Dion brothers helped get the car ready and prepared for 2002. Shepherd hoped to run the spring race at Martinsville that year, but someone who was supposed to help him with the engine backed out. "We're still racing without money," Shepherd said on April 13th, 2002, "so there's only so much we can do. Our goal is to build our Christian team that we set out to do and do things to help change people's lives. We're just looking for a sponsor." Sponsorship did come from weight loss company LifeX Program, and Shepherd finally entered the number 89 at Michigan on June 16th. And then again, he withdrew the car after he failed to clear inspection. "We had some weight and safety issues and just no time to correct them," said Shepherd. "This team has worked so hard for this, and we were all looking forward to running in Winston Cup this weekend. He'd only have to wait just one more month." At Loudon, the same race where Kirk Shelmerdine debuted the number 27, Shepherd qualified 43rd and last in his number 89. LifeX Program stayed on as sponsor, soon to be joined by Berlin City Ford, CatchFence.com, MotorsportsWeb.com, PitPassMagazine.com, and Racing with Jesus Ministries. He climbed to 40th before handling problems after 43 laps. The number 89 team made 7 more attempts in 2002 and qualified for 4 of those races, not counting 2 more DNQs with Rick Ware, but he failed to finish each time he started. Yet it was during one of these runs at Pocono on July 28th that he earned some extra screen time for the first time in years. Staying out during a rainstorm, Shepherd led 4 laps, his first since 1997, and also revealed what it took to even start the race.
Okay, thank you, Marty. This is the year of the young driver, and that's why 60-year-old Morgan Shepherd and his car owner, his wife Cindy, are leading this race, the Pennsylvania 500. How's that sound, Morgan?
Hey, that sounds great. You reckon maybe we can talk them into calling a race here in a little
Or just finish under caution, run all the rest of the laps under cautions, huh? That'd be good for you, wouldn't it?
There, actually, our Ford is pretty good, but we don't have the muscle to jump up there like some of the other guys. And I just like to say thanks to all the people out there that's helped me, and thank the Lord that Steve Park and Dale Jr. wasn't hurt down there.
And so many of your fans glad to see you back at the racetrack. Now tell me how you got the engine that's in that race car.
Well, actually, I got a 58 Chevy. I had a 58 Chevy, 409, and a friend of mine, Jerry Hill, had bought it last year from Robert Yates, and I traded my 58 Chevy for that engine, and here we are.
All right, well, best of luck to you. Good seeing you, and we'll look to see you again a few races later this year.
Thank you, Bill. Looking forward to talking to you.
Okay, the Shepherds, they're leading the race, guys.
Traded a 58 Chevy. I don't know. I think, man, that'd be hard to get rid of my 58 Chevy. He wants to race. He really wants to race badly.
The next month at Bristol, Shepherd would run the Racing with Jesus logo on the hood of his Cup car for the first time. He also gained another backer for the following week's race in Darlington. For the Southern 500, he picked up crew members from Phil Bonifield's Truck Series team, and soon after Bonifield's sponsor, Redline Oil. The sponsor would buy space on Shepherd's car for many races to come. On December 7, 2002, Shepherd announced he would commit more to his Cup team in 2003, putting another driver in his truck. He signed a letter of intent with 18-year-old Kyle Drum, who is still finishing his engineering degree at the State University of New York. Drum never made a start, however, and Shepherd continued to split time between the Cup, Busch, and Truck Series. His Busch car used to be driven by Casey Kane for Brad Adkins' team. Doug Stringer sold the car to Shepherd for cheap, and though it was previously a road course car that was also used as a show car, he managed to debut it at Darlington. On the Cup side, number 89 made 11 attempts, qualified for only 2, and finished last both times. He also made his first start in the Winston Open since 1999 and finished 23rd of the 27 drivers. During his last place run at New Hampshire, he made multiple 4-tire pit stops every 2 or 3 laps, despite just 43 laps completed on the day. According to Jayski, one of these stops took a full 55 seconds. The reason was Shepherd was scuffing tires for another team, though he didn't disclose which team that was. "It has been a struggle, but God has been good to us and blessed us in so many ways," said Shepherd in an interview. "I want to thank everyone who continues to believe in us and who supports our efforts." This brings us to 2004, and an opportunity for Shepherd to increase his schedule even further. By season's end, his number 89 would be entered in 34 of the 36 races, and though he qualified for just a fraction of those rounds, he still succeeded in growing his team. Unlike our previous 3 teams in this series, Morgan Shepherd didn't attempt the 2004 Daytona 500. A deal to reunite with Junie Donlavey had fallen through in early February. He was instead among those called in to fill the field at Rockingham. There, Shepherd reportedly brought a Ford, although it was likely the same Dodge he'd run the rest of the season. Unfortunately, the team had cut it too close. Unable to get on the track in time to make a practice lap, the team was not allowed to make a qualifying attempt and was instead forced to withdraw. They'd also had issues in inspection due to improper foam near the fuel cell. With that, it had now been exactly 5 years since Shepherd had made a Cup race at the Rock. As of this video, the series has not returned there since. Shepherd then made the long trip west to Las Vegas, where he unveiled the new look of his number 89. This time he'd run a Dodge he bought from Chip Ganassi and had an Ernie Elliott engine under the hood. To thank the Elliott family, the car carried a decal in honor of Ernie's son Casey, who died of cancer in 1996. Next to Casey's number 94 was the number 14, which represented the daughter of the person who sold Shepherd the car, a basketball player who likewise died before her time. For the rest of the 2004 season, Shepherd would have to take good care of his car. It was the only one he had. This put him behind fellow independent Kirk Shelmerdine, who had 3 cars at that time. In true throwback style, Shepherd would tow the car across the country in a small white 4-wheel horse trailer towed behind a Dodge Ram pickup. He still does today.
I've got a cup hauler, but it costs so much to run it, and so we moved down to a smaller one. It travels a lot cheaper. We just got us a new tractor for it. We was pulling it with my Dodge pickup. Now we got a Chevy 4500 Chevy that's V8 diesel, and it does a good job.
The new green paint scheme was a result of the support of a close friend from Georgia. Gerald Voiles owns several businesses in the state, including a John Deere dealership, Voiles Equipment Company. The tractor franchise and the extra paint for the tractors gave him enough green and yellow paint to color a variety of race cars, including a dirt late model raced by Charles Buck Simmons. Shepherd's number 89 had the same paint job as Simmons and would also carry logos for Voiles' business.
You know, I've heard so much about other drivers viewing green as kind of an unlucky color on a race car. Did you ever subscribe to that earlier in your career?
No, but Terry Gant, when he was running, and they had a green race car. They was asking him about it. He said, "Well, I like the color green. That's what money is." Matter of fact, I still got some of that green paint out in the shop.
The crew chief was Troy Kelly, the first of at least 5 crew chiefs who would lead the number 89 team in 2004. The cast of characters was ever-changing on Shepherd's crew. A couple years earlier at Bristol, he hired both late model driver Lauren Lanter, who brought a crew member of his own, and Pro Truck Series driver Todd Bradbury. The Shepherd crew got their car into the Vegas race as they outpaced another team that was making their first start of the season. Shepherd ran just 6 laps in Saturday's first practice, then only 9 in the race, leaving him 42nd with overheating issues.
Yes, most of all the Vegas race I was talking about. I forget how many extra cars they had. We qualified real good. Then there's some of the top teams, like the one car, and I forget many different ones that we sent home. You know, we just a very small couple guys, didn't have much help, didn't have any money really.
In Atlanta, Shepherd's best track, he picked up new sponsorship from Carter's Royal Disposal, a Georgia-based scrap and recycling firm. The company put their logo on the rear TV panel of the number 89 and would stay on for the next several weeks, even adding another logo to the passenger side quarter panel. In their first run together, Shepherd was the only driver who failed to qualify. He bounced back the following week at Darlington and lined up 38th. Just 9 laps into the race, Michael Waltrip blew a tire on his backup car.
But Dick, I'm the same man that won the Daytona 500 a year ago, and we were sitting 3rd in the points here at Darlington after we left, and I'm still focused, and it's hard to accept. That was just out of the blue, left rear flat.
By the narrowest of margins, Shepherd avoided destroying his only car. According to Jayski, he had just 3 crew members that weekend, a gas man, a tire changer, and a jack man, and each stop changed just 1 tire at a time. Shepherd first pitted after he led laps 57 and 58 under a debris caution and didn't lose a lap. He was lapped on the second stop, however, and after running low on tires, pulled out of the race. He finished 38th, his best run in the season's first 7 races. Back-to-back DNQs followed at Bristol on March 28th, where he picked up 0.3 of a second on his second lap, and at Texas on April 4th. He wouldn't take the green flag again until Martinsville, site of his first Cup win on April 18th.
The term is coming to use field filler, and it started last year in the Busch Series about some cars who would start the race and park, and we occasionally do see that. But the comparison to the independents, fellows like Henry Gray and Jimmy Means and J.D. McDuffie, is not an apt comparison. There are fellows here who are underfunded, who are independents. They do plan to run the whole race, and that's the difference between those folks and the people who are referred to as fillers.
Shepherd started 42nd, and for the first time in 2004 was set to run the entire race. His timing was perhaps not the best, because it's turned out to be one of the hottest of the year. Slowed by 11 cautions, the race ran even longer when a piece of the track came up and hit Jeff Gordon's car, forcing a red flag.
One race in the 2004 season, the spring race at Martinsville, you got some great TV time during that race because it was very hot and you were outlasting a lot of the other drivers out there. Do you recall that race specifically?
Oh yeah, it was pretty funny. That's when the pavement chunk of it come up, and
that's right.
It was just really hot, and anyway, we had to stop, and we probably worked on the track, and I was walking around with my black uniform on and stuff, and Casey Kane was over on the ground there getting oshed, and several of them, I went by him, I kicked him on the foot, and I said, "Hey, I might take you roller skating with me, boy." But yeah, I've always, I reckon because I've worked so much and been in it so much, I've always been able to withstand the heat good and
Shepard crossed paths with Kane again on lap 372 when the pair made contact in turn 4, and he earned even more screen time on the restart.
He said he was going to run all day and get what he can get. He's still holding at about 31st position.
Yeah, and I think that just proves that, when the guys have something they can race with, they want to stay out there and race. Morgan, he loves the short tracks. He's got I don't know if that's a new car or not. It's a Dodge, and it looks like it's running pretty darn good.
I mean, it's a car he bought from Ganassi Racing. It's the car he has showed up all year long. We didn't see him during that red flag, but you saw all these younger guys with ice bags on them. I'll guarantee you that 62-year-old guy, he just sat on the wall and waited for him to tell him to get back in his race car.
And he's done a good job because he has not raced a soul. I mean, he's gotten out of guys' ways when they come out of the way when they come up on him. He's done a really good job today here at this little tight racetrack.
And that's the definition of independent, as we used to apply it in the 70s and 80s, fellows who didn't have a big sponsor, but would come and race for what they could race, but not race the people they couldn't beat, as you say, Darrell, and give a good account of themselves.
Yeah, and I mean, it was not unusual in the 70s and even in the 80s for the winner of the race to have a lap on the field, and for guys 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, be 5, 6 laps down at the end of the day.
Well, it's a one-car, one-engine operation. He's sitting there in 31st. 2 of the Richard Childress cars, Johnny Sauter in the 30 cars in 30th, just in front of him. Robbie Gordon in the 31's just behind him. That's like Samson going up against Goliath right there.
It was a long, hot day, but Shepard had experienced much worse. On December 18, 1988, he ran an exhibition race at the Calder Park Thunderdome in Australia. It was 100 degrees with high humidity, and his car had no air ducts to cool him down. He had to be treated for heat exhaustion and blistered feet, but only after he led 203 of 280 laps and passed Sterling Marlin for the victory. On this day, 16 years later, Shepard finished 32nd, not only his best finish in 5 years, but his best of the entire season. Next came Talladega, where Shepard finally had a second car at his disposal. Needing a super speedway car, he leased the white Dodge that Jimmy Spencer raced in the Daytona 500 for Ultra Motorsports. The last driver out to qualify, he bumped Larry Foyt from the field, in what turned out to be the final Cup attempt for A.J. Foyt's team. Shepard completed 65 laps on Sunday and finished 41st, out with transmission issues. Shepard once again turned heads in the May 2nd race at Fontana. After banging out the dents from his Martinsville run, he timed in 38th in qualifying, besting the fully funded Scott Wimmer with Bill Davis Racing by 4 full tenths of a second. On race day, he stayed on the lead lap for nearly 60 laps before the leaders finally caught him. He then sped off pit road under the 5th caution and had to serve a stop and go, which prevented him from earning the lucky dog. He completed 163 laps, more than half the distance, before electrical issues left him 36th. "I am a racer," said Shepard. "I'm here to race." Richmond on May 15th saw Shepard break loose in turn 3 on his second timed lap, but he still took the 42nd spot on race day. He again looked to complete at least half the distance, but the engine let go after 131 laps, leaving him 39th. This turned out to be the final race with Voiles Equipment Company as sponsor. Following an 11th place finish in the Nextel Open, word broke that Carter's Royal Disposal was also leaving. The rest of that story, involving company founder John Carter, will be featured in a later episode. For now, it's sufficient to say the team struggled at Charlotte. With limited backing from Bojangles restaurants, Shepard lost an engine in practice and failed to qualify for the Coca-Cola 600. Things went from bad to worse at Dover on June 6th. After qualifying 42nd, Shepard crashed in happy hour and didn't have a backup. But help came from 2 of his fellow field fillers. Kirk Shelmerdine offered one of his cars, but Shepard declined because he already had an arrangement with fellow Dodge team Arnold Motorsports. Don Arnold lent Shepard the same number 50 that Derek Cope raced at Richmond. This was right after Cope parted ways with the team, so the car still carried logos for Chesapeake mobile home sales. Strips of blue and yellow tape were used to change the car number from 50 to 89, and Shepard turned 9 laps before exiting with handling issues. Shepard would run the Arnold car the next 2 weeks in Pocono and Michigan, this time with proper door and roof numbers and the Racing with Jesus logo on the hood. At Pocono, engine problems in practice carried into qualifying, preventing him from completing a timed lap before the race started. He still had a provisional, which secured him 41st on the grid, but he had to let the remaining 2 cars go by before the start as a penalty. At the start, his car dropped oil on the track, drawing a caution and sending him behind the wall. He returned on lap 30, 25 laps down, but didn't make it to halfway before handling issues left him 41st. Michigan didn't go much better. He was a late entry and only finished 40th with 76 laps complete. The only bright spot was returning associate sponsorship from Redline Oil, still part of the effort since his work with Phil Bonifield. Although he had raced at Fontana, it was uncertain whether Shepherd would make the return trip west to Sears Point, but footage from qualifying showed he was not only there, but back in his green Dodge, repaired from the wreck at Dover. While the car did go through inspection, it still didn't turn a lap in practice or qualifying, and had to make an early trip home. Things looked much better at Daytona, where he likely had the Ultra Motorsports car at his disposal once more. Jim Smith would only field one more Cup car by season's end, and not on the super speedways. Now painted green like his primary, Shepherd secured the 43rd starting spot. He also had a new associate sponsor in RaceApe.com, an aspiring internet service provider designed for race fans. In the final 50 laps of the night's many green flag runs, Shepherd and Larry Gunselman were running by themselves in a two-car draft. This didn't keep them entirely out of danger.
Michael's way, but Michael had to run on the inside, and little smoke flew. That'll get your attention.
Despite the night's low attrition, Shepherd finished 33rd, his best run since Martinsville, and also stayed out to lead a lap. Shepherd withdrew from the following race at Chicagoland, which meant the July 25th race at Loudon would be his 500th Cup Series start. This also happened to be Terry Labonte's 800th Cup start. This time, Shepherd made it past the halfway point, completing 192 of 300 laps and finished 40th. At season's end, RacingUnderdog.com's Dave Lawrence cited this as the third of his top 10 underdog moments of 2004. Newer fans only know Shepherd as a 63-year-old driver who hangs on and keeps racing, he wrote. Few of them realize that at the height of his career, Shepherd competed for championships on a regular basis. He has 168 top 10 finishes, and has finished in the top 10 in points 4 times. This milestone deserved much more coverage than it received. The series returned to Pocono, where Shepherd made 79 laps before the engine let go, drawing the second caution of the afternoon. He finished 37th. This didn't bode well for the following week at Indianapolis, which had been another of Shepherd's best tracks. In 4 starts from the 1994 inaugural through 1998, he completed every lap of those races and finished no worse than 15th. Even as recently as 2018 for the Xfinity Series, Shepherd ran as high as 17th before he pulled behind the wall at the end of Stage 1. But there were also struggles. In 2003, he had to withdraw from the race when the pistons for his new engine hadn't come in time. And in 2004, he attempted to become the oldest starter of the race, but didn't have enough speed. The broadcast tracked his lap on their new timing and scoring website.
Morgan Shepherd on the racetrack. Our pole sitter up at the very top, Casey Mears. Morgan is right now 27th, 28th, live position. You know, I think I'm going to become computer literate. I'm going to give me a computer. I'm going to this next year. When we're sitting at home watching the qualifying, watching the races, I'm going to do this because this looks interesting.
This is a comparison, sort of like our pace chase that we use on the air, of real time, the pole fastest lap.
Look, Morgan disappeared. Morgan, where are you? Come out of there. He disappeared.
In a hole.
Come on. Oh, there. I thought he disappeared off the racetrack. There he is.
That just means that the speed went off the bottom of the scale on the graph.
Shepherd returned to action on the road course in Watkins Glen, where his versatile green Dodge would not be raced by a road course ringer. The 1989 pole sitter wheeled his car around the track for 42 laps, at one point banging fenders with Ryan Newman in the chicane, and finished 38th after rear-end trouble. He improved on August 22nd at Michigan, completing 113 of 200 laps despite a stay of nearly 30 laps behind the wall for mechanical issues. This time he finished 34th. But by then he was running low on provisionals and would use his last one at Bristol. Dave Burns watched his qualifying lap from the grandstands.
Brand new. That's 150 feet tall. It's got 29-foot wide monitors all the way around it so people can see the replays and the live action. And it's also got the scoring pylon. And since it's such a nice view from up here, I think since the only thing I'm really missing are seeing the TNT promos of Law and Order Marathon from up here, I think I'll just stay up here and watch the rest of qualifying.
Still keeping his car in one piece, Shepherd not only qualified but turned 49 laps in the race and finished 41st. Without any provisionals now, Shepherd failed to qualify at both Fontana and Richmond, but managed to take the 40th spot on the grid for the return to Loudon, New Hampshire. but for the first time all season, Shepard was flagged off the track for not meeting minimum speed. Despite at least one trip to the garage to improve the car's speed, he climbed no further than 40th before the black flag. Dover on September 26 saw perhaps the first appearance of a new decal on the quarter panels. Building on his faith in the popularity of the film The Passion of the Christ, released that February, the decals read, "Passion, keep the passion going." Shepard qualified 42nd for the race and climbed to 34th before handling issues ended his race after 105 laps. Unfortunately, the rest of the season was even more of a struggle in qualifying. He had entered the October 3rd race at Talladega but didn't run the opening practice and ultimately withdrew. He then failed to qualify for the following 4 consecutive races at Kansas, Charlotte, Martinsville, and Atlanta. At Martinsville, he missed the cut by just one position, a 20.55 to a 20.46, preventing him from following up his strong run there in the spring. The streak finally ended at Phoenix, where he used the provisional he'd earned from his attempts. This time he ran 181 of the 315 laps before handling issues stopped him. Shepard's last start of 2004 was also his only last place finish of the season, black flagged after 10 laps at Darlington for running too slow. Rain had washed out qualifying, securing Shepard, Kirk Shelmerdine, and Todd Bodine each a spot in the field despite a lack of provisionals between them. All 3 would fail to qualify for the Homestead finale. With the season over, Shepard turned his attention to his 18th annual charity ride. This time around, he raised over $22,500 for needy families in Virginia. In 2005, Shepard returned to attempt the Daytona 500 for the first time in 4 years, and his first time as a car owner in even longer. In winter testing, his upgraded Dodge Charger was running so well that NASCAR wanted another look at the Joey Arrington engine under the hood. "First, they wanted to look at my restrictor plate," said Shepard. "Then, when that checked out okay, they asked to look at the carburetor. When that checked out, they just looked up and smiled and said, 'Hey, good run.'" But in the opening moments of his qualifying race, Shepard was collected in a multi-car wreck off turn 4. He made just 4 starts the rest of the year. In 2006, Shepard sold his entire team to his partners and renamed it CJM Racing LLC. The team, which now had associate sponsorship from Dutch Quality Stone, failed to qualify for its first 7 attempts through the spring race at Talladega. However, a second CJM car did make the field at Sears Point, giving David Gilliland his Cup debut. The next month, Shepard partnered with Christian businessman Dana Tomes from West Virginia, forming Faith Motorsports. Back in his number 89, starting in the summer race at Loudon, Shepard made 9 more attempts and this time qualified twice, making Richmond in the September return to New Hampshire. But he finished just 43rd and 42nd out in the opening laps. Although he would make 3 more series starts for other teams, these 2 in 2006 turned out to be Shepard's last as an owner driver in Cup.
We was going to different tracks, and like at Richmond, I know Michael Walter missed the race because we out-qualified him. They asked Michael what he thought about all that. He said, well, Morgan qualified, he earned it, and Michael really took up for us.
Shepard had begun entering Busch Series races again in 2003, and Dane Miller was the listed owner for the first run of the number 89 at Darlington. At Dover on June 2, 2007, Shepard began to run his own car regularly in the series and would resume his fight to qualify for each race. Among his supporters was Tony Stewart, who for at least 4 years bought him tires. In 2010, he rejoined Richard Childress Racing for a few starts in the number 21. And his full season effort in 2011 was helped by fielding a second part-time start and park entry for Brett Rowe. In 2018, Johnny Davis at JD Motorsports came to the rescue after Shepard wrecked his only car at Texas. While he rarely finished, Shepard also rarely skipped any race weekends, no matter how challenging it became. By 2017, the 75-year-old Shepard was now celebrating his 50th season in racing, and in 2018 made his 1,000th NASCAR start. It was also in 2018 that Shepard hired Landon Castle, who had long been a strong qualifier in both Cup and Xfinity. Castle made his first start in Shepard's car at Homestead, finishing 38th. A year later, after qualifying Shepard's car for multiple races with long entry lists, Castle began starting the races more often than not. At Darlington in September, Shepard was struggling with a bronchial infection, but only dropped out of the race when his car had an electrical issue. By Homestead, the team was struggling for funds, having parked the previous race at Phoenix because they didn't have another tire to replace a flat. This caught the attention of Dale and Sandra Dietrich, longtime Shepherd supporters who paid for multiple sets of fresh tires. Castle put them to good use. He qualified 13th for the season finale, then climbed as high as 8th. On lap 119 of the 200-lap race, Castle was still on the lead lap in 16th when he reported a loose right rear wheel. He was just about to pit on lap 123 when Chase Briscoe brought out the caution. This kept Castle on the lead lap until 31 to go. He finished 15th, the team's best run since 2009. In fact, he was running just ahead of Tyler Reddick as he took the checkered flag. In 2020, Shepherd's team couldn't run Daytona as they didn't have a super speedway car and were making do with their 2019 machine in the first few races. But the pandemic, the ensuing cancellation of qualifying, and cuts to the purse led to the decision to suspend operations for the rest of the year. This not only ended Shepherd's streak of 51 consecutive years with at least one NASCAR start, but was followed with a diagnosis of the early stages of Parkinson's disease. Still, the team maintained a presence, at least digitally, in the iRacing Pro Invitational Series, as Castle competed for wins running Shepherd's number 89, scoring a pole and 4 top 5s. Still active with his charity work through the Morgan Shepherd Charity Fund, both Shepherd and team are looking to make a comeback in 2021 and are looking for any help to get there. To find out how you can help, be sure to visit morganshepherdracing.com.
We're also still looking for sponsorship for our team, and the more money you get, the better off. More parts and stuff you can buy. Landon Castle got together just a little over a year ago at a homestead. I was just working my off the car, and Johnny Davis came along and said, "Morgan, would you put somebody in your car just soon as we would split fall to qualify?" I said, "Who do you suggest?" And he said, "What about Landon Castle?" I said, "Well, go ahead and get a hold of him or whatever." Anyway, Landon was about 45 minutes out, and he said, "Yeah, he would qualify a car because he didn't get to practice in it or anything." And there was 45 cars there. He jumped in that car and qualified 24th. Had never made a lap on the racetrack. But, so we just we've been together. We've just been trying to find sponsorship to when we can come on, because he is a very talented little race car driver. Takes serious stuff and goes out and makes a good face. So it's good.
Do you see some of yourself in Landon, like his driving skill or driving habits?
Yeah, because he takes good equipment, and he tries not to get in bad situations. We only had one car while we've been doing all this, and he's took care of the car and everything. We just haven't found out the sponsorship that we need yet to get going full bore again.
What's really the drive that kind of keeps you in racing even today, still operating the Xfinity team?
Well, it's 12 of my friends is, and we have an opportunity to get the Lord's name out. That's what we do. This year for our charity, all this works through our charity. This is our 34th year. Of course, the first stop is at the Park Workshop at Woods Brothers. It's right up from their race shop. I love what I do. That's where my friends are, and it's a way of serving the Lord at the same time.
This is kind of how it's been with me. Everything I have in my life, I owe it to faith in God. Everything I have in life has been made possible through faith. Because of that faith, I've always known that if you hang in there long enough, work hard enough, I can make certain things happen. Today, I'm one of the happiest men alive. And I'd just like to say thanks to Ron Hall, Larry Britton, the Woods Brothers, for having faith in me. I'm proud to be here. I'd like to congratulate Dale Earnhardt, Richard Childers, and the staff. Nobody knows how hard these racers work and how much they put into it. Thank y'all.
Shepherd had one thing in common with at least 2 other drivers we've talked about in this series. Just like Kirk Shelmerdine and Joe Ruttman, he briefly drove a rather familiar-looking red and white Ford. That team and one other driver would make their own unique contributions to this most unusual of seasons.
America, there exists a sport that is driven by the fans. They are why everyone works so hard, on the teams and at the tracks, in front of the grandstands and behind the scenes, to give the fans the greatest race possible. NASCAR fans deserve the best, starting from the high banks of Daytona, all the way to the shores of California, and at every race in between. NASCAR fans, you're the reason for our success. Thanks.